Now we are on the final stage of the deployment of the WAR file into the WildFly server. So far we have seen multiple steps that is involved into the process of converting the application into the WAR archive. Now we need to visualize the outcome of the response that this application is going to give to the user when we hit the request to the endpoint that we have created. So what we have to do right now is on the target directory, we have already generated the WAR file and we have renamed it according to the application name settings that we have given inside the application or property file. You can just right click and copy this archive. This is a manual deployment that we are doing. As I've already stated, there are many variations of deployment process that we can initiate in order to deploy and WAR archive into the WildFly server. But these steps are something which is manual steps which are involved. We are not using any tool-based specifications in order to deploy the WAR file into the WildFly server. So we need to copy the WAR file and we need to drop the WAR file into the WildFly server. So as we have already seen the briefing about the directory structure of the WildFly. So as you can notice here, we have the WildFly base directory. Under that, we have a standalone directory. And under that, we have the deployments directory. So we need to straight away drop the WAR file, which we have generated just now, inside this deployments directory. So once this WAR file is placed inside the deployments directory, what next we have to do is we need to spin up the WildFly server. And for that, we need to bring up the console screen where I have the path referred to the WildFly server. That's nothing but the bin directory. Inside the bin directory is where we have the standalone.sh file, script file, which helps the WildFly server to get spinned up. And once the WildFly server is up and running, it goes straight into the deployments folder and figure out how many ever WAR archives are there. For all the WAR archives, the deployment process will begin. So what we have to do right now is once after we drop the WAR file, just exactly the WAR file need to be dropped inside the deployments directory underneath the standalone, and the standalone is there coming from the base directory. So now let's go ahead into the console screen and we will trigger the standalone.sh file. So we need to perform the current directory from where the standalone.sh file need to get executed. So from the Mac system perspective, I'm using /standalone.sh, which is exactly the sh file which is residing inside the bin directory. Upon triggering this sh script file, this will help us in deploying this WAR file which we have just dropped inside the deployments folder. So let's go ahead and hit enter from this console, and it will spin up the application server. And also you can notice that there is a logo that's been picked up from the Spring Boot. This traditionally happens. These logs are coming up exclusively. It's because from the application properties settings perspective, you can see that login.level.root is enabled to info. So what does that mean is we are actually enabling the logging for the Spring Boot application to pick up from the WildFly server perspective itself and place all the logs on the console screen so that we can track all the informations. As you can see, everything is related to the information that's been captured, and this will define whether the application is successfully deployed or not. Yes, of course, this application have been successfully deployed, and that's why we haven't seen any error related log here other than the info. So now this application is running under the port of 8080. So let's go ahead and start the the request, and for that let's bring up our the Chrome browser from where we need to hit the local host. And you can see employee app is the application name which we need to provide, because the application property file is referring to the application name as employee app, and the archive itself is in the name of employee app. So this means it has to hit to that particular WAR archive. That's what is going to happen exactly. So if we bring up this standalone deployments folder, now you can notice that while we are going to hit the request, what exactly happens is this employee app, the application name is nothing but the name that's going to be referred to this employee app, the WAR archive. So inside this application settings, we have mentioned the application name to be employee app. So this is not essentially required while we are deploying it as a jar archive, because it doesn't refer to any application name unless and until we manually provide them. But that's not the case when it comes to the WAR archive. We need to provide the application name and ensuring that the application name is referred in the URL segment. And so the WildFly server, when the request goes to it, the WildFly server will go and search for that particular application archive, and it goes and hands over the request to the dispatcher servlet, and the dispatcher servlet will hand over the request to the specific back controller that we have created. That's nothing but the employee controller, and there where we have mentioned the endpoint name as hello. After giving the request to the hello, it has to give the response back. So let's go ahead and see how the response is right now. So upon hitting hello, you can see, hi, welcome to WildFly, and it's giving my name. So this is what I have referred in the endpoint reference. So let's go back to the controller. As you can see, hi, welcome to WildFly Server. So this is successfully responding, means we have successfully deployed the WAR archive manually into the WildFly server, and so which it is able to give the response appropriately. If in case we have made any mistake in between, either we might be facing the challenge at the time of archiving it using the maven package command, or we might be facing some challenge while we are spinning up the server of the WildFly and bootstrapping the application. It might come up with some set of errors if in case we are not meeting with the requirements of the deployment standards that's essentially to be followed while we are deploying into the WildFly server.